Harvesting Medicine on the Hill by Joyce Galtmacher, illustrated by Kate McKean. Picture yourself in a pharmacy standing in front of the shelves of medicines. Rows and rows of perfectly shaped pills in white sterile bottles, topped off with balls of cotton and tamper-proof caps. Stand at attention. Now turn around and imagine time slipping backwards. Backwards, backwards. The flickering fluorescent lights fade. The walls of the store dissolve away. And you are where? It is a long, long time ago in the 1500s, and you are standing alone on the crest of a hill that overlooks the wild Californian coast. Gnarled oaks spot the golden yellow hills beneath you, all the way down to where the ocean crashes against the shore. The pharmacy is gone and all medicines in it. Or are they? Surprising as it might seem, the slopes of these sun-baked hills are kind of pharmacy. The bushes, wildflowers, and weeds have all been used for thousands of years to cure and prevent illnesses. As you look over the hill of wildly flowering medicines, you see an old man holding up the steep side of the hill, hobbling up the steep side of the hill. Somehow you know him. His name is Brent Oak Kitzpatwi, and he is a Chumash elder. You also recognize his grandson, Red Hawk, following at a respectful distance. The bit of root around his neck bounces on his collarbone as he scrambles up the slopes. "Are we almost there?" he calls out to Brent Oak. "If I remember correctly," the old man replies, "I saw some chukapat growing by the marshy place near the stream back last spring." "Why didn't you pick it in the spring then?" the boy asks innocently. "Remember, my child," Brent Oak answers evenly, "we do not pick chukapat in the spring. We pick it in the fall, when all of the power is in the roots." Bent Oak squats beside another plant and asks, "Do you recall what yerba mansa is used for?" Red Hawk is still learning. It has only been a year, now that he has been accompanying his grandfather to the hills. Yerba mansa cures burning pains under the skin, he recites slowly and carefully. "That's right, my child," Bent Oak replies. "Put yerba mansa on wounds and they will heal. Drink it as tea to purify the blood. We will pull up the roots now, bring them back to the app and dry them. In a few weeks we can slice them and begin to use them for medicine." As Bent Oak stands and looks towards the coast, he frowns at a building, much larger than the app where he and the boy live, that is under construction. "What are they doing, grandfather?" the boy asks about the foreigners who are working on the strange-looking building. "They are cutting down too many of our oak trees," Bent Oak says curtly. "That takes too many trees that give food." Red Hawk nods. Though most of the food in the village comes from the sea, they eat bread from the chia, or acorns, the seeds of the oak tree, every day. Red Hawk looks back to where the workers labor on the building for the Spanish strangers. He can see them breaking up the earth to plant seeds. What will their arrival mean to our people, he wonders. "We should not stand here idly," says the grandfather, turning his back on the new building. "We have many more medicinal plants to find." The urgency in Bent Oak's voice makes the boy uneasy. He thinks about the rumors he has heard at night in the app about the sickness in the south where people break out in rashes of oozing red sores. They said the sick went blind or died. Red Hawk worries that the sickness will reach his village too. For weeks he has been afraid to ask his grandfather whether the sickness will continue its deadly trek up north. Casting a nervous look behind him, Red Hawk asks, "What else do we need?" trying to hide his fear. The old man touches his hand to the bit of twisted root he wears on a cord around his neck. It is an answer, and the boy understands. "Chuchupate," Bent Oak smiles. "And do you remember why it is important?" "It guards against rattlesnakes," the boy answers promptly. "Grandmother chews the root for headaches. Uncle rubs it on his sore body after fishing, and Mother gives me chucupate tea when I am sick with a cold." Grandfather nods. "Yes, chuchupate has many uses. You can see how important it is that we bring more home to the village. Come up the hill to where it grows. You should know by now where to find it." "Grandfather," the boy pants, scrambling after the old medicine man, "if the chuchupate is so important, why don't we plant it near the village?" "Chuchupate does not consent to be grown just anywhere," Bent Oak answers. "Some plants can be cultivated, but chuchupate only grows where it wants. Do you remember why we must be careful when we pick chuchupate?" Red Hawk says slowly and thoughtfully, "It is because we take the root. If we only took the flower, the plant would still be there next year. But because we take the root, there will be no plants left at all if we take too much." The grandfather nods. "That is why," Bent Oak says, "and that is what the strangers do not understand. I do not want to tell them about the chuchupate." "Don't they know about it?" the boy asks curiously. The old man shakes his head. The boy is amazed. "And is it true that they have no doctors, no pipe doctors, no ant doctors, no herb doctors?" Bent Oak speaks as they walk. "I don't believe they have doctors like our doctors and other shaman. They have their own cures and their own plants. Some say the plant called rue is good for earache. It grows in their gardens. But they do not know our remedies and perhaps should not try to use them. The boy thinks about the pipe doctor who suck out whatever is causing disease through their long stone pipes. Thinking of sickness reminds him of the sick people in the South. He does not want to think about that. Instead, he asks Bent Oak why the Spanish don't use their medicine. "Well, Red Hawk, think of this. Do you remember what should be used for warts and rashes on the skin?" "You must use the juice of the poison oak when it is cutting in the spring," Red Hawk recites from memory. The old man nods. The poison oak plant is important because it is a cure and a poison. It can cure stomach upset if you boil it and drink it when cool. But you must keep the smoke out of your eyes or it could blind you. The boy nods, for he remembers boiling it last summer. "Why did you say the Spanish should not use it?" "When they touch the plant," Bent Oak replies, "they break out in a terrible rash. It is very strange that one people should be affected by it when another is not. But perhaps there is a reason." Seeing Red Hawk's discomfort, Bent Oak asks gently, "If you had a rash, what could you do for it?" "Mugwort," the boy answers quickly. "I would make tea of mugwort leaves and use it to bathe the rash." The old man nods proudly. "You remember well. What else is the mugwort used for?" "You make the dried leaves into a little cone. Then you put it on a wound to keep it from becoming infected," answers Red Hawk. "Yes," the grandfather nods. "That is right." Bent Oak strides across the hill where the boy following behind. Beautiful twisted oaks make patterns against the yellow grass and the blue sky. The relentless autumn sun releases the rich smell of the grass, and the boy breathes deeply. The old man listens to the sawing drone of the insects. and admires the sudden flight of the birds that nested there. It is the way it has always been. Red Hawk, however, worries and squeezes, his eyes shut. He wants to hear his grandfather assure him that there are plants that will cure the sickness brought to the people in the south by the strangers who have invaded their land. He wants his grandfather to say that the pipe doctors will be able to suck it away. But Red Hawk's grandfather says nothing. He merely walks on, unhurried, planting one foot in front of the other, as if there is no terrible sickness to the south. The boy follows behind, trying to mimic his grandfather's easy gait, hoping it will quell the worry in his own heart. Then his grandfather stops and squats beside a tall, hairy-stemmed plant that stands among the grasses, its bell-shaped flower still blooming, even in September. Coyote tobacco, the boy volunteers without being asked. Its smoke is used by the pipe doctor. That's right, the old man smiles. The pipe doctor blows its smoke over the sick so that they will get better. Do you remember other uses for coyote tobacco? We drink it for stomach pains, the boy says, and we also rub it where the body hurts. I had it on my ears before they were pierced so it would not hurt too much. Bent Oak nods. Yes, it is good for you to remember these things, for someday it may be you who teaches others. It was strange. Last year, before the Spanish came and the sickness came, the boy loved to hear his grandfather's praise. He loved hearing that someday it would be he who knew the healing powers of plants. But today his grandfather's words sound ominous. Red Hawk fears that if the sickness comes and takes his grandfather, he will not remember when to harvest the chuchupate and how to prepare the coyote tobacco. Perhaps no one else will know. Will our doctors protect us? Red Hawk wants to ask. The question leaves a bitter taste in his mouth. He does not want to ask, however, and as if from a distance he hears his grandfather say that the doctors can do little. When the strange building reappears over the rise, he cannot help but ask, Grandfather, will the doctors be able to protect us if the southern sickness comes here? His grandfather stops walking, turns, and stands stock still facing the boy. Looking as if his words have escaped from him, he gives his answer slowly, deliberately. I do not know. The boy closes his eyes. There is a sadness in his grandfather's voice such as he has never heard before. Red Hawk knows that his grandfather, too, is worried about the sickness that follows the Spanish. When he opens his eyes again, his grandfather is gazing at him gently. There is one plant we have not discussed today, my child. Perhaps it will help us. Do you know which plant I am talking about? The boy does. It is the toloache, the Jimson weed, and it is very dangerous. Too much toloache causes blindness, insanity, and death. Taken in moderation, toloache is also a powerful way to strengthen the body and protect it. The boy knows that people take it to clean the blood or dull the worst pain. Toloache is so potent that it needs to be